Welcome to Sommarøy, a tiny island in northern Norway, far above the Arctic Circle. Here, something extraordinary happens every summer. The sun refuses to disappear. Even at midnight, the sky can still be bright, the ocean glowing beneath the Arctic light. And for weeks, night simply doesn't look like night.
Imagine a place where midnight doesn't look like midnight, where you can step outside at 2 in the morning and the sun is still above the ocean, where the sky glows, the mountains are still visible, and the world around you looks as though the day never ended. This is Sommarøy, a small island in northern Norway above the Arctic Circle, and in 2019, Sommarøy became famous for something almost impossible to believe. The island was said to be trying to escape time, but here's where the story gets interesting, because that wasn't quite the truth. Sommarøy lies west of Tromsø, surrounded by the cold waters of the Norwegian Sea, and because of the Earth's tilt, this part of Norway experiences one of nature's strangest phenomena, the midnight sun. During summer, the sun can remain above the horizon for weeks. In the famous 2019 campaign about Sommarøy, the period was described as roughly 69 days of continuous daylight. Imagine that at 2 in the morning, there may be no darkness. You could walk along the beach, go fishing, take a boat across the water, or simply sit beside the ocean while most of the world is asleep. And then winter brings the opposite. The darkness stretches across the landscape, and the relationship between people and daylight becomes completely different. Here, nature doesn't care what the clock says. Then came June 2019. Suddenly, Sommarøy was everywhere. Newspapers, television, social media. Around the world, people were reading the same astonishing headline. An island wants to become the world's first time-free zone. The idea sounded almost revolutionary. Residents talked about escaping rigid schedules, especially during the endless Arctic daylight. Why should you have to wait for the morning if the sun is already shining? Why should a beautiful evening end just because the clock says it's late? Images even appeared showing watches hanging from a bridge, creating the impression that the people of Sommarøy had decided to leave time behind, and the story spread incredibly fast. But then the story began to change. Sommarøy hadn't officially abolished time. There was no new system where clocks no longer mattered. The island still followed ordinary Norwegian time. The time-free zone story was actually part of a tourism marketing campaign involving Innovation Norway and Visit Norway. The goal was to draw international attention to northern Norway and to the extraordinary experience of the midnight sun. And on June 27, 2019, Innovation Norway publicly apologized. It acknowledged that its role in creating the story had not been made clear enough. Suddenly, the story everyone thought they knew looked very different. Sommarøy hadn't escaped time, the story had simply escaped the headlines. But here's the part that shouldn't get lost. The marketing campaign may have created the myth, but the phenomenon behind it is completely real. The midnight sun is real, the Arctic landscape is real, and the strange feeling of experiencing daylight when your body expects darkness is very real. You can kayak beneath the midnight sun, walk along an Arctic beach late at night, watch fishing boats move across the glowing water, stand beside the ocean and look at a sky that refuses to become dark. For a moment, the clock can feel almost irrelevant, not because time has disappeared, but because nature has changed your sense of it. And perhaps that's why this story became so powerful. Because underneath the headlines, there was a question that almost everyone can understand. How much of our lives belong to the clock? We wake because an alarm tells us to. We work because the schedule says it's time. We eat because the clock says it's lunchtime. And we stop working because the working day has ended. Our lives are divided into hours, minutes, deadlines, appointments, and notifications. But then you arrive somewhere like Sommarøy, and nature seems to ask a different question. What if the clock isn't the only way to measure a day? The sun can still be shining at midnight. The ocean doesn't know it's late. The mountains don't care what time it is. And suddenly, you notice something we've become very good at forgetting. Time can be measured, but life is experienced. So no, Sommarøy didn't abolish time. It didn't create a world without clocks, and the famous time-free island story was largely a tourism campaign that became much bigger than the truth. But perhaps that makes Sommarøy even more fascinating, because behind the myth, there is a real island, a real Arctic community, a real phenomenon, where the sun can shine through the night and where nature can make something as ordinary as a clock feel surprisingly strange.